Hello, 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 hello. Let's get this day started. Turn on the Swiss, get it making parts. Later today I can switch over to a different part that I need to make, but for now, get it running, get it warmed up, make good parts, and then I can play on the current. So I've noticed with this machine, from hot last night to cold this morning, the parts will, the first part coming off will be about almost 1/1000th of an inch bigger, probably 8/10, 9/10, something like that. So I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna wear offset it down, probably 9/10, and then the first part should be almost perfectly good. So diameter grows a little bit, length doesn't really, depends on the tool, but the subside does move ever so slightly, I forget, further or closer on a cold machine. This is the kind of stuff you gain with experience, and you figure out over time, and you notice. And if you don't write it down or make a point of remembering it, or run this thing every single day so that you're the expert at it, then you kind of forget these things. But I should be able to make a good part, at least on the second part. And then within about the first half hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour of machining, it warms up to stable temperature. And then once you're at that temperature, it holds like forever, like all day. Tool wear isn't even that much of an issue, which is nice. So, yeah. So on the main side right now, we're turning with high pressure coolant, we're turning the main profile shape with a pivot. Over here, we're using a chamfer end mill to profile the outside of the part, the head, and do the flats and do the big chamfer. So on the Norseman pivot, we have an oval. See, it's oval shaped with a big old chamfer on the outside. There we go. So basically on the main side, it does the drilling, the spotting, the threading, and the turning, what you see from this angle. And then on the sub side, it does everything you see from this angle. The chamfer, the ovalized head, the face, and the engraving. And we're using that grinding wheel with much, much success. Yeah, it's going there right now against the grinding wheel. It's working so awesome. It's not ideal. Ideally, I would have a cup style wheel so that the part can like go into the center of the cup. So I've actually got a quote from the same company to custom make me a cup style wheel in the same grit. Waiting to hear back on that. That would be epic. All right, so in the time I got to work yesterday, here's my progress. These are the bad ones I made, and these are the good ones I made. Decent. I mean, I've certainly made way, way, way more in a day, but considering the hours I took, I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to use my digital scale here. I talked about this before, but it's worth mentioning again. Awesome, from Amazon, about 30 bucks. It has a pieces function, PCS, so it can actually measure a count. I don't know what it's set to right now, but basically I'm going to put 25 in a bin. Like, I'm going to count out 25, put them in there, and then I'm going to zero it out. And then I'm literally going to count out 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 25. And then I'll zero it and tell it it's 25. Okay, so I've got 25 pieces in there. It happens to be the same as before. Now it's asking me, do I actually have 25? You can change this up or down to 100 or whatever. And then I say, yes, I do. So now we have 25. So if I take out 2, we're down to 23, 24, 25. Perfect. And then I'll add in the rest of the ones. So yesterday I made 66 good ones. Not the best day I've ever had, but I'll take it. And then assuming the bins weigh exactly the same, I made 19 bad ones. So then I go over to my sheet, use my Grimm's Mosaga pen, of course, and I go 66 and, what did I say? 19 bad ones. 19 bad. This just lets me track what I've done. Clearly I haven't run the lathe lately. And then we dump it into Simple Green, which is a degreasing cleaner. Just let it soak in here for a while. I find that it helps dissolve the oil. You can actually see the oil starting to float on top. See the little reflective nodules of oil floating on top. So it's already working. I find that helps the ultrasonic work faster. And then they go into ultrasonic to be ultra clean. All right, so we've got 6 bad parts and 4 good parts. And some of these are just out of tolerance, just barely. So that's not so bad. A little bit more than I wanted, but whatever. I'm making good parts now. It's only been, I don't know, not that long. 33 minutes of runtime so far, and the machine's fairly well stabilized. Doing pretty good. I'll keep an eye on it, but I can let it run for 5 or 10 parts at a time now. I've got my carousel set to 2 parts per bin, so that roughly it'll catch 2 at a time. All right, let's switch modes now. We'll talk about this big red beast, Kern. So, if you've been watching the latest videos, you know that I've gone with the Kern has an HSK 40 taper, and I've gone with the Rigo PG system, although this one's an ER16. But the PG system has that pressing device. Really awesome. And the cool thing about the Kern is it has through spindle coolant capability. So it can actually deliver coolant through the middle of the tool and out, whether you have holes on the end mill or if you have a drill bit with through coolant all the way to the tip so that coolant gets where it needs to be. Or you can also have coolant blast out the collet and kind of fan onto the part. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Something I didn't realize when I ordered all these tools is that they need a coolant tube. And I didn't know that. These guys aren't cheap. They're, what did I get? $35, $40 US each. So that's over $50 Canadian. I think my Canadian quote was $55 each. That machine holds 210 tools. And from talking to other people, the way to do it right is to put the coolant tube on absolutely every single holder, because if you turn on through coolant without the tube, then the coolant doesn't know where to go. So it goes into the spindle, basically, and it can quickly trash your spindle. Completely unacceptable. Never even want that to be a possibility. So to do that, you got to spend a lot of money and put a coolant tube on every single tool. Now at 50 Canadian each, times even just 100, that's $5,000. Times 200 tools, that's $10,000 just for these little guys. Holy crap. So my brain goes to thinking, play with me here. Allow me to, go down this rabbit hole. Can I make this? And the answer is, of course. And I was looking at it under the microscope. It's a 2-piece component. I mean, I don't want to give away all Rigo Fix's secrets here, but it's O-ring there. It's a tube. It's got a hole through the middle, and it's got a threaded bung, whatever you call it, with a slot through it and a countersink on the bottom. I got a pretty sweetly stocked machine shop here, and that Swiss, while busy and should be making knife parts, my brain can't help but wonder if I can make this 2-piece component. I need hundreds of them. I need like 150 or 200 to be stocked, and that could save me $5,000 or $10,000. That's huge for material that I already have on hand, for tools that I already have on hand. The stupid side of me goes, oh yeah, it'll take like an hour to program, you'll be set up in no time. The realistic side, it'll probably take like a day or more, a couple days to run this. But so I have to weigh the benefits of can I/should I do it. Now, I took the mic and I measured the tolerance. They're all within a tenth or two at most, which is amazing. The thread's got to be really tight. I mean, you can't screw this up. However, I don't know. Let me think about it. But as a maker, as a creator, as somebody with a lot of cool tools, I always tend to wonder, like, can I do it myself? I don't know. Can I save a bunch of money? But you're exchanging time for money, and sometimes that equation is not worth it. So you got to be really, really careful. My curiosity is, what material is this, and how hard is it? Because the only material I really have on hand is 17.4 H900, which is like 45 Rockwell. Pretty hard. That's what we're making the pivots out of right now. I could easily make it out of that material, but I'm going to go to the hardness tester right now, and let's hardness test one of these and see how hard they are. Being a sphere, like a round, I don't know if I'll get an accurate reading, but let's try and find out anyway. It would appear I have this place to myself. So this is the front building. Check this out. Check it, check it, check it. Check it. This is Eric's 1983 Volvo 242. He's had this thing for, I don't know, 15 years. He got it when he was 15 years old, maybe more, 16, 17 years. We've both owned this car back and forth, daily drivered it for many, many years. It's been sitting for a couple years, and now it's gonna be his project car. I love that car so much. We put so much work into it, custom engine, full exhaust that we built, custom engine management, all kinds of cool stuff. This was my life before knives and machining, was this, cars. Anyway, it's cool to see it here in the shop. And it's filling up his shop quite nicely. So what am I doing? I'm doing hardness testing. So Eric's actually started a YouTube channel so that he's chronicling like the rebuild process. So Eric Grimsmo, YouTube/Eric Grimsmo, I think. Okay, so we bought, a while ago, years ago, we bought a Ames hardness tester from eBay. Lost it. I 3D printed a mount. I don't know if the guys use it, but this thing's pretty sweet. I don't think it's as good as like the big full like C-frame ones. Eventually we'll be getting one of those for sure, but yeah, the mount works sweet and means you don't have to hold it. So heat treat is one of those awesome things that I understand, but I've never actually done it myself. I've pulled some blades out when the guys ask me to, but I've never actually, you know, done an entire cycle myself. I built the water-cooled heat treat plates, quench plates, etc. So it's awesome that there's many parts of the business that I barely understand, but I get the gist of it. So I'm very comfortable with that. Same for the hardness tester. I've used it, you know, a bunch, but not for production like Eric or Sky or Steven do. But this thing's pretty sweet. It's like spring, how do I explain this without sounding stupid? It's spring-loaded, sort of. So there's graduations on here. I'm trying to explain this to somebody who has zero clue what this is. For you guys who know what this is, I'm gonna sound really stupid. But I'm dumbing it down because I'm not even all that comfortable with it at the moment. But this thing measures, you know, we're shooting for 60 Rockwell for our blades, 61, 62 sometimes, never below 59. So the needle gets you to 60, but this lets you see where it is to a fairly accurate half decimal. So what's that? That's 60, and this would be 60.5, 61, or maybe that's 62 at the line. But anyway, the question we're trying to do right now is how hard is this guy? It's obviously coated with something black. I don't know if measuring this diamond point against a flat onto a round object is good or not. You experts in the comment, please feel free to chime in. Normally you have a flat surface in there, but let's try it anyway. I might have to consider that this becomes scrap, which I don't want to. I'm gonna do it down in the recess here where the O-ring slides, and then I'll buff it down. That way I'm not on the sliding O-ring surface. I don't know if I can do that. Okay, I'm gonna have to go at the very bottom of this surface. So I haven't done this in quite a while. I want to make sure the tip is high centered on the main crest of the cylinder. Okay. If I remember right, you preset it, you pressurize it until set, and you really got to get your eyeball angle like right. So the camera's not necessarily going to be perfect. I'm gonna focus on my own eyes here. Okay, I see set there, and then you bring this guy back to there, and then you crank it until this gets to 60, and then, no, actually, I forget. I think you go to 150 and then back. Oh, I feel so stupid right now. Let me think. All right, off camera I did some practicing on a scrap blade. As my suspicions guessed, you start at the set, you crank it up to 150, and then you go back to set, and then where this ends up is where you have it. So we're looking at the right-hand decimals. This is a soft blade, so we're measuring 20 and a bit, whatever you want to read that. 20 and a half or whatever. Because you have the C scale, the B scale doesn't count, that's softer, so you want the C scale. So I've ruined it now, I've moved it, but it was right about here at 20 and a half Rockwell. So I'll do it again, move it to a different spot, because you don't want to measure the same spot twice. So I'm looking It's all about lining up and not moving your head. So I've got it to set. I'm going to crank. Can you see? Yeah. Help if it was in focus. I'm going to crank it all the way to 150, ideally in one smooth motion. And then back to set. And then I'm going to look. It's a little sloppy there. I've got a mid-20s that time. All right, now let's try it on the tube. Okay, so again, I want to look, I want to get my head right. Line up that, move it to set, pull that back again, try to get it in one smooth rotation up to 150. And then back to set. I move my head. Okay, I'm seeing 58. 58 Rockwell's pretty darn hard. That's quite a bit harder than the 45-ish Rockwell that the that our 17.4 material is, the stainless. That's pretty hard. And it left a tiny little dimple in there. Yeah, you can see it right there. It doesn't really protrude. I don't feel it. But I'll still hit it with the Scotch-Brite wheel and blend it down. So, ooh, that's a lot harder. That might change my thinking. Let me think about it. I came back to the back shop and I'm like, why is it quiet? Ran out of bar. There were only like 10 parts left in that bar and I forgot to stock a bar before we left, so let's put a bar in. Interesting note, so it's been down for 10 or 20 minutes, whatever it is. Tolerances can change with that much cooldown. It's kind of crazy. So I should be fine, like within my tolerance range on the next parts, but it's something I gotta be careful of. All right, back up and running. Yeah, it's one of those things, once the machine is happy and making good parts, you just wanna go and go and go and just let it go and run. Load up tons of bar and just keep going. Which is what I'll be doing for the next parts. When we make 440 screws, we need so many of those that I'm gonna load up a lot of bars. And it's an easy run. All right, for now, I have made my decision whether or not to make these. No, for a couple of really good reasons. Number one, I don't actually have the right material, like the right diameter. This measures 393 and the material I have in stock is 375. So it's too small for this, and this needs half-inch material. I don't have half-inch stainless. So that's a non-starter without buying more material. The material I have is too soft anyway compared to what's here. I've got other stuff to do that is way more important than developing a part that I can just purchase off the shelf. But I'm bringing you guys along on this journey, the struggle inside a creator, inside a maker, that just because I can make it doesn't mean I have to, doesn't mean I should. So instead of looking at the purchase of these as a holistic thing, like, oh, I need to buy 200 of them, I don't. I need to buy them like 25 at a time. I have a handful now that will last me for a little bit, and I'll put them in all the holders that are in the machine. I'll probably buy another 25 now, and then another 25 later, another 25 later. I'll space it out, not even gonna feel it too much. And then I can move on to other projects, because one of my bigger flaws is I get blinded by exciting new things, like squirrel, you know, shiny object syndrome. And I fall into the trap of doing something new instead of doing what's right in front of me, what I need to get done. So let's focus on that. There's a lot that I need to get done that is not pick up new projects. It's tough, but it's kind of obvious when you step back and you think about it. I've been totally slacking on filming these past few videos. Like, I forget to film throughout the day. It's the end of my day now. I gotta go home soon. And yeah, I forgot. Anyway, had a pretty awesome day on the Swiss. Got a lot of these guys done. Let's see how many here. Pieces, tear and empty bin. 119. Not so bad. Yeah, just about to turn this guy off. It's been running awesome. And then the Kern's currently howling at 42,000 RPM right now. Doing a quick little warm up. Yep, I've got a quick 6-minute program I'm gonna run on this thing right now, and then I can go home happy. Jumping ahead of myself, trying to do too many things at once, too many days apart. Notice that little spot right there. So I was watching it, Enmo was coming down. I turned the coolant off so I could see Enmo was coming down, and it's supposed to start helixing into the cut right there, but I see it plunge just a little bit, and I'm like, what? And that's when it hit me. What I'm doing right now is I'm cutting out all those features for the blade, the arc and the clearance and everything like that, and the drilled tapped holes for the clamps. What I haven't done yet is faced the 4 sides of the fixture and get that 50 thou material off the sides. So there's still 50 thou material. I forgot. There's too much material. I gotta do the facing first. I don't have time to do that right now. Tomorrow morning, first thing. I'm gonna wake up early, 5 a.m. I'm gonna get here early. I got a lot of Kern to do tomorrow. That's my plan. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.